So firstly, I want to get your feedback. Now, this is a good time to get a feedback of what you've been getting from the book. And then I'm thinking of doing like 1 or 2 meetups to kind of do a wrap up or something like that. And I'll discuss with CJ how to do that. So what are your thoughts about the book? We have finished, I think this is our 13th meetup on the book. I think we did one introductory one, so this is like 14th. What do you think so far? What are you getting from this process? Joe.
So I've had this conversation with Mike quite a bit. And it's something like, we're sitting down each week and we're trying to figure out, okay, what are we getting from the book? And my goal each week is to get one thing from each chapter. And, that would be quite a feat for the book. And I can honestly say that I've taken more than one thing from each chapter. So, some of the terminologies, desiderata, or the ultimate particular, or iteration, or composition assembly, or how all these things, judgment, factor into this, how this fits on all together, how, and I can go. These are just off the top of my head.
Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
May I put you on a spot and say,
please?
I'll give you a few minutes while other people are talking. And if you could just go through the chapters and identify what one thing you got or 1 or 2 things from at least 5 or 6 chapters, as many as you can. It would be a great way for people to kind of recap things. Just rattle off things whenever, just prepare it as while other people are talking, okay?
All right, take 2 seconds.
Just go ahead and type exclamation mark. Thank you, Joe. Evanik, what are you getting?
I'm getting a new way of thinking, I think. Like I said, I'd had no experience with design, and I took this book on your recommendations, Shrikant, and I think it helped me tackle things that I just wouldn't normally tackle, like quantitative, qualitative, that feels really math-like to me. I think systems and in some sense concrete ideas that I would never think about or even try to think about, because I just had this thing where I'm not a concrete person. I'm more of an abstract thinker than a concrete thinker. And I think through this, I'm realizing, like, I always knew the value of the concrete, but I'm realizing that I can think in that way when I need to. And there are times that it will help. And I think I've taken it into my everyday life and, measuring things more by concrete, doing my budget in a more concrete way, looking at what is effective for me, what is working for me, what is not working for me in a qualitative way. So I think I've taken that out. I'm definitely going to have to read this book again, though, because I didn't get all of the ideas, but it's been a good experience.
Thank you, Evanik. CJ recommends reading it 7 times. I think Robert recommends reading it 17 times. So that's just kidding. But yeah, definitely all great books, bear reading. Next up is going to be Cheng.
Yeah, I think this book is quite interesting. As an architect, I found I get a lot out of this book because it's much more depth. It's kind of integrated with history, philosophy, everything together with the design process, which I never read other book like have this kind of ambitious. Usually it's that design or philosophy, they never try to combine it. And I want to say what I get most with my it's design as a service. Actually, that's very early with that. They actually help me a lot with my own work because I mentioned, I don't really have a lot of patience, but now I remind myself, actually it works very well. I get very patient now with my client because I understand it's a service, and they need to take them, provide them with the desiderata, wait for them to go where I am, because I deal with every day. They don't deal with it every day. So that helps a lot. Also, the whole design process they mentioned. I think also the Robert joined this very interesting graphic. It's very, I really like that as well. You know, how this come together, all this opening, and then in the end, they become these solid ideas. So it just like, it's like I deal with every day, but I never thinking in this kind of from history point of view, that depth, and also the process you in the depth to analyze the whole process. So I found it's very helpful for the overall understanding of the design process.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, Zheng. And special thanks to you. I think the presentations that you've been doing, they have been just fantastic. They have really helped a lot of people, including myself, to relook at all the concepts, to kind of, it's a great recap, and it's a way of remembering. And those videos are going to be very helpful. People are going to go and look at it and say, huh, let me try to go through it in 10 minutes, the entire chapter. And you're doing such a wonderful job with that. So thank you very much. Mike, what have you been getting from the book? Or just you talk to only Joe about what you're getting from the book?
No, I saved Joe for special times during the day, but no, it's very interesting. At the beginning, I knew it was going to be a project. The prose seemed difficult on the outset. But one of the main takeaways is it stretched me out, my ability to look at something complex where I might read a paragraph more than once. And I realized that it was more of a personal flaw, that I'm sometimes not concentrating enough. So all of a sudden, I've now found myself a little bit more involved with the book. And also, on a personal note, it has brought me back to my childhood. Again, as I had mentioned in previous meetups, where my dad was a precision tool and die maker, and the whole idea of designing anything brought me right back. And again, conversations with my brother that I would not have had it not been for the book, which I like. It's just a little mention, something that you've said to all of us in various meetups, that you highly recommend that we do our own presentations with your approval, or facilitate a breakout room. It's another thing I found extremely helpful, because I'm in there, and even though I'm not adding as much as other people with expertise, that whole process, so reading the book, having a conversation, having the ability to even facilitate a breakout room has been very, very helpful.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. Let's see. Anybody else wants to share? Anybody who is reading the book? So let's see. Jeff, what about you?
So I'll offer two things. One, I'm both impressed by and enjoying that there are so many examples here where ideas and elements such as quality and quantity, or vision and inquiry and action, or internal and external, or solitary and social, or figure and ground, where they are less either or and more both and, in some kind of creative combination. And second, that if you will, that it's wise to allow all conclusions to be temporary, and all revelations to be part of a progressive revelation process, because everyone and everything is always changing. And so there is no, I think there's seldom even a desiderata that cannot be influenced and affected and evolve over time. And I appreciate those perspectives, because I think they're mature, as opposed to looking for things that are perfect, as if something might be perfect and then change can't come along and affect it.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, Jeff. Joe, you're ready. Go ahead.
So this isn't my complete list, but as I mentioned, is, desiderata is pretty much where everything starts for me. But also the importance of the client and designer relationship within that process, and understanding the values and aim and how critical those two things are when you're basically both on the same page, you're both working together. And that's something that is, that I've taken from each one of these chapters. I also look at design as a service, is a very important part for me as well, because it doesn't ignore the individual. It doesn't ignore the imagination of the designer, but it does keep it within the context of the stakeholders and the end users. And so I really appreciated that part about it as well. The ultimate particular is actually something that is really crucial as well, that it's a constant iteration of a process, and that, that each situation is going to be unique. And then how you take something from the true, using your constraints, and then you have something that's real, and then you're trying to get to something that's ideal. And that process is really important for me to understand. That is a sometimes when we talk about a lot of these design projects now, they just do fail fast. I don't think that they actually capture that part of the process in this, when they're talking about what is true, what is real, and then what is ideal. They're just trying to get to the finish line. And I think that this is where the kind of the artistic end of this book and the not only just looking at it from a scientific or mechanistic point of view has really been beneficial for me too. This book also looks at, I find to be one of the most important part is the composition assembly, where you look outside of the domains of something to see how you can reassemble and create something that is then useful for other people. And then that really connected with me when I was talking, when we were the epistemology presentation, where we looked at the 4 domains and we came up with the idea of the snowmobile. That was a very real thing. And then you have to start to look at parts, and you look at the whole, and then you look at, how to look at parts outside of their domain to see how they can create something new. The importance of judgment, raising it to, again, I mentioned this before, raising judgment to the same level as our maybe rational thinking is a very important part as well. Because sometimes we just put a little bit too much into rational type thinking, and it kind of closes off our mind, and not enough thinking about what it means to have judgment from a design perspective. And just the idea of the whole, that's really important. One of the things that I even thought of this evening was, okay, if I were to look at the whole, and we were talking about measurement, what if you're talking about a society? What would you look at? You wouldn't look at only economic numbers. You look at all of these other things that go into place as the whole, because you're really kind of trying to evaluate something. And that is interesting when you're talking about interpretation and measurement in general. I thought the evil of design was a very important chapter as well, because it categorizes the types of evils of design. It doesn't necessarily just say this is bad and this is good. And I think that having a more nuanced approach as to why evil design exists in the first place is a really important thing. Sometimes it's done by a lack of understanding out of pure ignorance. That's a very important lesson for me to learn, because it allows you to, proceed with a little bit more caution and to mitigate risks when possible. And again, this is not a comprehensive list. This is I could have gone through, if I went through my main copy book, I would have had a little bit more. But the true, real, and ideal as well it's a very powerful thing to consider. The other one I didn't even include was digital and analog is another very important point that I see going forward when you're talking about designing new solutions, that understanding that is going to be critical when you're coming up with an optimum or an ideal solution for a problem, because all too often we look at something as just being automated and separating people from the process itself, and that somehow is an efficient way of doing something. Well, it may be efficient, it's not effective. So anyway, I'll stop there. I've been talking for a while.
Joe,
So I get a lot from it.
Joe, that was just great. That was just great. I mean, it's just the whole range of things. And I think you have a unique advantage, both that you had a good preparation, thanks to all the meetup that CJ had done and you had attended. So you had a great preparation. You had kind of familiarity with the book for a long period of time. Plus, you're kind of involved in design of various kinds. So you have a lot of kind of experience yourself, and then you are able to engage in a deep way. So thank you. Thank you very much. Great example.
And Robert's graph last week was very, very helpful for me as well.
Yes. Yes. So we got 2 votes for Robert. Anyway, Brian Allenby, you're usually very quiet, but whenever you have observations to make, they are very deep and very direct and honest. Would you like to talk about what you've gotten from the book?
Well, as I've said a couple of times previously, I don't actually get time to read the book at the moment. And I get my sort of pleasure from this series by listening to people's comments. I gain a great value from people, certainly like Jen and Joe, as they sort of go into great depth. And that's where I'm getting my value. I tried this week actually to read the chapter. I failed miserably, but I will read it, but at the moment it's quite a number down on my reading list.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, Brian. I mean, I think, folks that we have here, they actually do pretty good job of picking out topics, concepts from the book that mean a great deal to them, and they are able to fully explicate them. So even if people have not read the book, if you have deep interest in design, I think you can get a lot from it. Not only when Jen is, of course, out there in terms of how systematically she brings everything together, but everybody who comments actually brings a lot. So thank you very much, Brian, appreciate that. Anybody else? Kevin, are you reading the book?
Yeah, but it didn't word by word. That's my style. I give little index, and yeah, it's great. It's a good book. Yeah, there you look for design, and yeah, I agree. Read it later. Yeah, it's bringing so much topic and so much thinking. Then one thing I do like this book, not a normal product. I normally sell product like this iPhone on they tell you one side. It's good. It's definitely it's good. It didn't tell you a side effect or cascading effects, but it's designed. That's yeah. Thank you.
Great observation. Thank you, Kevin. Let's see. Does anybody else like Marco? Do you want to share what you get from the book? Okay, if you want to share, you can go ahead and type exclamation mark. Go ahead.
No, just the importance of the whole. That was the biggest thing for me. And seeing things in general, in life, just seeing the big picture rather than just focusing on the details.
Thank you. Thank you, Marco. Mike, what about you? You've read so much, and what are you getting from this book? Mike, are you around?
Which mic are you referring to?
That mic, the magical mic. Go ahead.
It's obviously a good book and well written, and I got a better understanding of what the issues are in design. I've been on the fringes of design my entire career, and probably the next half is going to be even better because I read the book. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mike. Now, others, I do not know if you have read the book, but if you would like to comment at this point, you can go ahead and type exclamation mark. Even if you have attended just a few meetups, what you've gotten from the discussions, as Brian was saying, that you can actually pick up a lot from just listening to the meetups. If you have attended multiple of the meetups, go ahead and type exclamation mark if you would like to share at this point. I'm going to give 10 seconds and then I will move on. All right. Okay, folks. So the next chapter is going to be craft of material. And then we have systemics, guarantor of design, and then the way forward. And then I will figure out a way of doing like 1 or 2 meetups to bring everything together. So whatever Joe did today, I would encourage you to do that. Of just go through the notes for the catch up. Maybe we'll combine that with a way forward because it's pretty short. Or we can do it as a separate meetup of just try to go through the chapters, your notes, and say, what did you get from it? Try to condense it as much as possible so we can, we can have a discussion. All right. So the next one is going to be craft of material. And so that's the plan. All right, folks. Thank you very much. And Happy New Year to everybody. We'll see you soon. Bye, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank you,
Jane. Thank you,
Howard.
Joe.
Thank you, Robert.
Thank you.
I hope you guys feel better.
Thanks.
All right, thanks especially
Thank
to
you,
Jane
bye.
and Joe for
Yeah,
being.
and I had more. I had a lot more I could have gone.
I had a
to.
lot more. Don't worry. We'll give you plenty
Okay.
of time.
Thanks.
All right.
Be well.
Thanks.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.